welcome to the Pretty Kitty class with my Stampin' Up. This was a class I offered in August at my home, and it's also available by post, so you can do it online and follow my instructions. If you would like to get a kit for this class, please follow the links below and you can see how to get it. I also offered a dog theme one called Bella and Friends, and if you do both, you get a free class with a free stamp set called Love You Lots. So check out all the info below for that. The first card we're making is using this awesome background stamp, which is the watercolour wash. Really hard to stick to that block, so I would suggest using some double-sided tape to sort of get that to adhere, because you want it to statically cling to the block. Or you can lay it flat, ink it up and place your card over the top. That also works. So I've got the smoky slate card base here, and you can see the finished card to the left, and I'm inking that up with the smoky slate, the smoky slate ink, and then it sort of fell off as I went to do it. So it would be easier if you had double-sided tape or to do it flat, but then you want to also apply a lot of pressure. You can see there that I was, because I was actually moving the camera. Then you get this beautiful finish like that. How gorgeous is that? Now make sure you clean your stamps. So I am always an advocate for the Stampin' Scrub, because it keeps your stamps beautifully clean, because you don't want dirty stamps. So now I'm popping that one away, and now we're going to start on our kitty cat. So I always like to close my inks, because I'm always a culprit for sticking my fingers and elbows in open ink pads. So definitely something I'd recommend. Now I'm using one of the gorgeous Stampin' Up doilies as a base, and one of the scallop circles, which is from our layered circles framelits. I always get confused with those. And then I am inking up my kitty cat on some watercolour paper, and you can see my head, and I'm just stamping that in the basic black so that it can dry, and then I'm going to colour it in. Something I learnt the first time around is that you really want to let the stamps dry when you've used the archival black, because it does take a little bit longer to dry. Sorry, I'm filming a voiceover while doing a million other things, so sometimes that can get a bit distracting. But anyway, back to topics. I'm letting that dry, and then I'm preparing a few other things. Something I forget when I'm filming sometimes is to have everything in camera, because I have this zoomed in. So obviously what I was doing is getting my crumb cake cardstock, which in the kit I included half an A4 piece for the scraps to do your phrases and sentiments and whatever, and I've stamped that in crumb cake as well, so it's tone on tone. And then I'm just creating a little flag at the end there by snipping in the middle and then snipping to meet the middle on each side. And I just put the sentiment, life is messy, because the cat is covered in wool, so I thought that was appropriate. Now I'm tying a little bow with the linen thread. These are all little things that you can do while your ink dries on your cat. And then this is the kind of thread that you need to manipulate around a little bit, and it will work quite well for you. Now something I have done, and I did want to mention, is that in these classes I have used a sewing machine quite extensively. You absolutely don't need to do that. I just really like the look of stitching, so that's why I've gone ahead and done that. Now I'm sticking my kitty cat down, and I'm adding my sentiment in there, and the reason for that is that I am going to sew around the edges with a sewing machine. Now I'm colouring in my kitty cat with the crumb cake and the smoky slate, and doing the bits. I sort of wanted it to look like it was sort of uneven, like I did little bits of crumb cake here and there and little bits of smoky slate, if that makes sense. Now these are the blender pens, so you can have a lot of fun with them. I'm just taking a phone call. My mother-in-law's in my driveway, just recording a voiceover. That's a nice text to her. Now that's lovely. You can see my hair, which I dyed red unsuccessfully. It's gross. It's not the red I wanted it to be. Apparently my camera's having trouble focusing. So here you can see, now with these blender pens, something to remember also is that when you want to change colours, just use a scrap piece of paper to blend out the colour and make it go clear again. That gives you a fresh pen to work with. They come in a pack of 3 for $17, and they're definitely worth the investment. You'll get a lot of use out of them. Now I'm just cleaning my stamp. And now I'm going to move on to colouring the next bit of the kitty cat, which is the ball of wool. And I'm using Real Red to colour in the ball of wool. And I'm just going to highlight some of the strings around the cat. So it kind of does go out of line a bit, but I don't mind that messy look. You don't have to do this bit if you don't want to. That is entirely up to you. So I chose to, and then the next step you'll see me go over the top of it with Winkered Stella, which when it dries, I think you can tell by the kitty cat on the left, it dries a bit lighter. Mind you, I mean, every coloured image you do is not going to be the same. They're all going to come out differently. So this one is probably a little bit darker, but it certainly dries lighter as it's not wet, because at the moment, obviously the alcohol blending pens have a wet component to them. So now I'm just going to pop this entire circled image up on dimensionals and then add it to my doily, and then I'm pretty much done. I just have to add my twine bow and some rhinestones, and that's pretty much it. I think you saw me add the bow clip to the circled kitty cat, and now I'm adding the rhinestones. So once again, sticking to groups of 3 and adding them in a tiny cluster, and then I'm adding a little bit of glue. Now I'm not sure if I mentioned this previously, but I'm using Scotch Quick Dry Glue, which is in a fine line bottle, but any of the glues that Stampin' Up sell are perfectly fine. The Tombow mono adhesive would work great, as well as the fine tip glue pen. Now I'm moving on to the next card, and this is possibly one of my favourites because I just love that embossing folder with the big circle dots. And I'm so sorry about the focusing. Next time we're going to have to put a manual focus, I think, just because I had so many issues with focusing. But I was working really super quick, and when you're doing that and moving your hands about, it tends to not know what to focus on. So anyway, I tried to sort of focus on a few other products that weren't included in the class as well, just so you got to look at a few other catalogue products. Otherwise, sort of, it's hard to know if you like something until you've used it, and that's just what I think anyway. And I think people had fun playing with the Big Shot at the class, and if you don't have one, it works fine in a Cuttlebug. Sorry, I've got wet hair in the photo, I just had a shower. It works fine in the Cuttlebug or the other cutting machines. I'm sure there's a few others. There's a Teresa Collins one. They all work fine. Personally, I love the Stampin' Up Big Shot, and I've owned a lot of cutting machines. I do have a Cuttlebug as well, and I love the Big Shot, but it's personal preference, one of those things. But yeah, that was a fun technique to work with. Now I am, once again, I began with my stamping. So I stamped the cat in the garden and the sentiment, which was "You make me happy," and then I added my sequined trim with just a bit of tear tape or double-sided tape, and then I'm adhering that down to the scalloped piece there. So that gives me that to do, and then I'm not sure if I did the sewing for this one on camera or not, but now I'm tying my twine bow. I think as these videos go on, my fingers got messier and messier with ink, so I do apologise, but when you're on a roll with crafting, you tend to get extremely messy pretty quick, especially when you're working with inks and pens and colouring mediums, but that's just how it is. So now I'm going to set that to the side and work on my card. So here you see the big dot embossing folder, one of my absolute favourites. I honestly think it's a must-have because it's so versatile. You can use a dot background for just about anything at all. So I love that. I'm just running it through the Big Shot machine off camera, which is why you can see my arm wobbling, because I'm just winding it through because I just didn't think that I needed to drag all that in. But as you can see, it's got a beautiful textured impression. And then I'm going to sew around the edges of that one with some white cotton just to give it that finished look. And what I did do was make this one slightly bigger than the original card, so you don't see as much of that smoky slate background cardstock, but that's totally fine, either way works. So I'm going to adhere that down, and then I just have to colour my image pretty much. So this time I'm once again working with smoky slate for the kitty cat, and I'm going to start at the top left of her head and make that my darker section and work my way inwards. I did use a few colours in this one as it was a little garden bed. I'm really enjoying working with these blender pens, and I really think that they are something that you just have to get a pack of and give a try. And I like that, you know, you can invest in the ink pads, which didn't take me long because I obviously, as a consultant, I do get a discount, but I also self-hosted a few parties, and when they reach a certain amount, you get a half price item. So I just bought the collections of the ink pads half price. So that was how I ended up getting my collection so quickly, which was really handy. But they're really good if you get the blender pens, because you can instantly have, like, you don't even need the pens, but I mean the pens are good to have, but you can just colour with the blender pens as well. I plan on adding the marker sets to my collection hopefully someday in the future, but this is quite fun at the moment as a colouring technique. So at the moment I think I'm using, I think it was Blushing Bride, but I'm not 100% certain for you there. I probably did show if you rewind and pause. Then this is Daffodil Delight, and I'm just using that to colour that gorgeous butterfly. These are the type of images that really do well using Wink of Stella because they're such girly images. They look beautiful. This is Calypso Coral, and I'm just colouring in those little berries, starting at the bottom, working my way up so it sort of fades out, and then I'm just washing out the colour on my scrap paper in between, just so I don't mix the colours. Now I'm getting out some green, which I think, I don't know which one that was, wasabi I think, wild wasabi, just for the leaves there. So yeah, that's really cute. And then I think I'm finished colouring anyway. Do you know, it's currently like midnight and I'm doing the voiceover for this video, and I have to be up at 4:30 in the morning. I have 4.5 hours to sleep. Why do I do this to myself? I don't know. I have one more voiceover after this too to film, but that's fine because, you know, when you're a mum and you've got a busy life, these are the things you do. Now I'm adding more dimensionals to stick this one up, and that'll pretty much be it after I adhere my bow and do my rhinestones. These are pretty simple cards. They just have like various techniques that are fun to learn, and you get to use a few new products. And I loved the colouring techniques. I changed the spot that I adhered the rhinestones to in this one just because I thought they would look good, and because I did slightly smudge the Y in that stamping, so I thought I'd just cover that up with the edge of a rhinestone. So that worked well, and there's that card done. And then I'm going to move on to the final card, which is using the Flirty Flamingo base, and I'm once again going to use my tag punch with a 2-inch piece of that Affectionately Yours designer series paper, and I'm going to stamp out my kitty cat, which I think I tried to do on watercolour paper, but it wasn't thick enough. It wasn't big enough, so I just used my Whisper White and stamped that with the archival ink and put it aside to dry. Just making sure that's inked up enough. I always use my piercing mat underneath, no matter if I'm using photopolymer stamps or not. I just think it gives a better impression. So They're $6.95 I think to get. I don't have a catalogue in front of me, but they're definitely worth the investment because, you know, you're just going to get a better stamped image using that underneath as your stamping surface. Now I'm tying this mint macaron striped ribbon and creating a little bow knot there, and then I'm just going to use my scissors to create a tail, and I'll just stick that down with some of the double-sided tape. I absolutely love this mini striped ribbon. It comes in last year's in colours, so it's going to be mint macaron. I'm trying to remember them all off the top of my heart. Off the top of my head, not my heart. Watermelon Wonder, I think it is. Tip Top Taupe, Delightful Dijon, and the other one has got me. Is it Cucumber Green? I don't know. But yeah, they come in the beautiful in colours. So they'll retire at the end of this annual catalogue, but they're so gorgeous. So the is it the ruffled ribbon? Roost ribbon comes in this year's in colours. So they have a couple of collections there. Now I'm tying my twine bow, and then I also used on this card the Hello You thinlets, which is what I have cut out the hello with. So they are pre-cut in the class kits, so you don't see me cut those out, but I've cut it out of the Dazzling Diamonds glimmer paper, and it's just gorgeous. And they have super cool sentiments. They're like hello you, love maybe, and cute or something. They're just really simple sentiments that you can use on a variety of cards, and they have that gorgeous flowy script font, so I really like that. Now you're going to see me cut out the image, which I'm using the paper snips, which are super cool for cutting out little images like this, because they're precision tiny scissors that are great for working with small things like this. So I'm just going to cut the cat out, and it's also giving it a bit more time to dry as well, so it doesn't smear when I go to colour it in, because we don't want that happening. It's surprising how quick you can cut out an image anyway, or if you have some stamping to do where you know you're going to have to cut out some images, do it in front of the TV. I mean, you'll get it done really quickly. I mean, I was doing this while listening to some music in the background, and I was in a relaxed mood and things weren't frustrating me, and it was just simple and easy. I actually quite like fussy cutting. Some people hate it. And I mean, this particular stamp set doesn't come with thinlets. So the ones that do come with thinlets, great, but some of these that don't, they're still fun to cut out. And look, you wouldn't be able to tell. I mean, I've had a bit of practice at fussy cutting, but I don't think you need to be an expert. So now I'm going to bring back the blender pen and colour in the pot with the crumb cake, just because I thought that was a nice pot colour. And then I'm sort of using, once again, going from the left to the right. I seem to do the left to the right. Now, I don't think, you can do whatever suits you, but I tend to always work from the left to the right. I don't know if that's just because I don't know if it depends if you're right-handed or left-handed. I suppose, I think I would feel weird colouring from the right to the left. I don't know. Anyway, it's just one of those trivial things I just never thought about. I just always seem to colour that way. Now I'm just picking an orange. I don't know which orange. I think that was Peekaboo Peach, to colour in the kitty cat. Thought I'll go for a ginger cat. I don't have a ginger cat. He's actually my sister's, but he's here at my parents'. So we have a ginger cat called Oscar, who lives here. He's actually on my bed at the moment, fast asleep. Now I'm using the green to colour those leaves. I think I missed some and had to go back. Yes, I did. And colour them in afterwards, because I was like, see, and then I missed the cat's tail. I wasn't really focusing at this point. I think I was down to my last card and I was like, I need to get this done. So, yes, I did miss a few things. Oh, goodness. I find colouring in really relaxing. I don't know if it's just me, but I think, well, it's quite kind of a bit of a trend, isn't it? I've got a few of those colouring in books. I have quite nice ones, and I probably need to use them more often because they're supposed to be relaxing and calming, and I definitely need more of that in my life. I mean, who doesn't? So I should probably get those out and have a bit of a play again. But yeah, definitely if you want some relaxation, stamp out some images and have some colouring in time because it's really good fun. Now, I'm not sure what colour I did the berries. I think I did them a different colour to the other one. Yes, I did. So I did use the So Saffron, which is like I don't know how to describe So Saffron. It's a light yellow, but it's not pastel as such. It's a beautiful colour. So now my kitty cat image is done, and I'm going to, oh no, I added some Wink Stella, which I don't think I did on the original card. So Wink Stella is one of those things, it's an in the moment thing, and then I tend to add it and then I get addicted to adding it and it gets added to everything. So just be aware, it is addictive, and once you get one, you want the other one. They come in gold and clear in the Stampin' Up catalogue, but yeah, definitely have a backup. I would definitely have 2 clears. I need to buy another one, which reminds me, because yeah, you don't want to be running out of your Wink Stella pen. Now I'm going to add the Hello Thinlet just with a tiny drib drab of glue. Is drib drab a word? I don't know. Just so I can sew it down with the sewing machine, which I wouldn't advise using wet glue, but I didn't have anything else on hand at the moment. So, because I was filming, normally I'd let it dry, but yeah, I didn't have time for that, so I just sewed through it. That's a bit naughty. But yeah, I sewed through that, and I think I'm almost done. I'm not sure if it cuts out, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!